Well, I thought about it in terms of what needed to be said today. You know, has there ever lived a soul so hardened, a heart so cold, a mind so thoughtless as to never have the urge to say thanks for what we have and to think about what we need to do to preserve it? I think such a person has not addressed the God that we know. Some people, you know, just sort of do it, talk about, you know, some unknown God, or simply luck. And nevertheless, I want to ask, is there a person so utterly void of primordial instinct toward gratitude that they never had the urge to say thank you? The writer of Psalm 30 has no such problem. He knows his benefactor. He names God with confidence. He says, I will extol you, O Lord. And he identifies the reason why he was filled with gratitude. He had been healed from what seemed like a deadly illness. I don't know whether he died or whether he was ill or whatever, but I do know that with uninhibited exuberance and thanksgiving, he credits God for turning his mourning into dancing. Now, many of us will recognize the same kind of feeling when the doctor says to you, I believe you're cancer-free. Or if you're a parent and someone says, your child is going to be all right. Or the fever's gone. Some people, mind you, do not connect the dots to God and prefer more secular sayings like we beat the odds or we thank our lucky stars. The psalmist, on the other hand, is confident that his deliverance is due to God's loving grace and connects his praise directly to his prayers for deliverance. The writer knows from experience the feeling of being abandoned by God. He knows the agony of what he calls God's anger. Nevertheless, his faith calls him to cry out, Oh Lord, help me. And when it's all done, you, O Lord, I will give thanks forever. It's risky theology, by the way, to connect healing directly to answered prayer. There's too much evidence where conscientious prayer did not work. There's too many hucksters in our world today, especially, offering healing for a mail-in contribution or a nice little touch on the television as they give you a prayer for the healing. Nevertheless, the psalm does offer a style of prayer and praise that reflects life's reality. In his great commentary, one of the great commentaries on the Psalms is by James Luther Mays, who was a professor at Union Richmond. And he writes, the Psalm shows how prayer and praise can together become a rubric holding the experiences of life in relation to God. The psalmist admits to times when he felt that God was hidden. You hid your face, he says in verse 7. He suggests previous experiences when his prayers may have gone unanswered. But nevertheless, in darkest moments of doubt and despair, he keeps a residual sense of God's prevailing providence and prompts him to plead, Hear, O Lord, and be gracious to me. O Lord, be my helper. And then, with healing, however that healing may come, comes the writer's renewed trust in God's providence through good times and bad, the result being that now he sees his life as a vocation of thanksgiving to the Lord. Now, I told Douglas Hawes I was going to have a short sermon, so I go right now to give you a small illustration. I don't know how many of you are readers of some other sort of things other than the Bible. I'm sure somebody else reads, you know, there's always millions of books out there that seem to be coming out every year. And way back in about 1946, the writer Ray Bradbury painted a literary portrait of this psalm in a short story that he called Getting Through Sunday Somehow. And the scene takes place in an Irish pub on a bleak Sunday afternoon. And a disheveled old man with rather too many glasses in front of him stares into the mirror over the bar, mourns for somebody who might hear, "What have I done for a single mortal soul this day? Nothing. The older I get, the less I do for people. It's an awesome responsibility when the world runs to hand you things. For instance, sunsets. That's a gift, ain't it?" The fellow neighbor, a couple of stools away, agrees obligingly. It is. And encouraged, the old man showed gets a little more louder, and he says, "And who do you thank for sunsets?" And the newfound friend answers reluctantly, "Not me." Which only encourages the man to a little more oration. He says, "Well, ain't you horribly guilty yourself? Don't the burden make you hunchback all the lovely things that you got from life and no penny down?" The other guy says, "I never thought." To which the old man is quick to respond, "Think, man. Act before you're the walking dead." The great Reformed theologian Karl Barth is reported to have declared that there is only one sin, suggesting that this sin, this single sin, from which every lesser sin emanates, is the sin of ingratitude. The failure to comprehend the theological truth and possibility that human life, in all its beauty and abundance, is a gift. And no one understands the undergirding truth beneath Bart's statement better than the psalmist who said, "O Lord,